Hey, what's up, everybody? Jake here, and welcome back to episode 10 of the Card Lounge podcast.
Episode 10. We made it to episode 10. How do you feel?
I didn't expect this to happen.
Yeah,
I thought you
know.
were going to quit on me by episode 3, but here you are. You persevered.
I thought we were just going to crash and burn at episode 3, but you guys, the viewers, you guys were like giving us support, and everyone's like, we want more episodes. So thank you all for just really supporting Jake and I in this endeavor. And, we love making this podcast, so we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, and I'm going to let the viewers know a little movie magic is that Rob actually has to fly in for these podcast episodes. So I want to give it up to Rob that he flies into Las Vegas, where we record our studio, every single weekend for this, which is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
That's the commitment that I got here from my buddy.
Commitment. Hey, I didn't know you know what? It's so funny you just did that, because I was going to give you a little kudos. Guys, kudos to Jake, because I don't know how many of you guys noticed, but in the last episode, we were having a little bit of some audio issues. And if you guys didn't notice it, that is because Jake took the time, did some extra, just grinded on the editing. And neither of us are audio engineers, guys, but he made the podcast listenable and acceptable when before there was like a bunch of static in it. So
yeah, and if you,
awesome job, man.
If you still hear that, we're working on it. We're improving, and we will for sure get better. We're new to podcasting, so I appreciate you guys for these first 10 episodes are almost trial run for us, and It's been going well. We're enjoying it. I hope you guys are having fun, and we're gonna do better.
Yeah,
we're gonna do better.
We're gonna get better equipment, guys. So stay tuned. Jake and I are even gonna probably do some live streams where maybe we can, sell some stuff here in the studio. We'll do some Pokemon card openings, and if you guys, go in on those cards, maybe you get some hot pulls, and then also you'll help support us. So that we can get some better and better equipment for the studio.
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions for us, drop them down in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. But we have so many cool plans coming up. Guests coming over,
yes.
Holiday specials, live Q&A, live stream podcasts. We have tons of cool stuff that we want you to be a part of the conversation, so we'll make it happen.
Yes, tons of ideas. It's going to be awesome, guys. We're going to get some guests. So yeah, leave in the comments guests you want to see, questions you have for us, topics you want us to discuss. And in fact, I got a lot of DMs on the Card Lounge pod about us discussing Worlds.
Yeah.
And just everyone trying to get in, people trying to apply as content creators to be official Pokemon content creators for Worlds. Coops Collects didn't even get in.
Yeah, I saw the post where he said he was disappointed that he couldn't get in.
I know.
And it definitely got a lot of people saying what? How did Coops not get in?
It was wild.
I saw that DM
post. Right. It's kind of crazy how, and it's funny because I think that in itself shows just how big and how important he is to the hobby. People are mad for him, that he didn't get in. When I just feel like it's just so clear that he would be great to be in there,
I saw that, and if you guys don't know who Coops Collectible is, great guy. He does a lot of great content where he shows the good side of the hobby for sure, where he's making sure that the next generation of kids are enthusiastic to join in the hobby. Mm-hmm. And I've seen his shorts. I'm sure you guys have seen some of them. They're pretty viral. He's a very popular content creator in the TCG space. Yeah. And he applied to go to Pokemon Worlds as the context and as a creator. And the Pokemon company declined and said that he couldn't make it this year as a creator. He could still probably go as a spectator.
Oh,
This year's a little bit different because it's located in California. I think it's Anaheim.
Yeah.
Right. And in Anaheim it's a very solid location because in prior years it was in Hawaii, Japan, and United Kingdoms. And those are hard places for content creators who are not located there to get to.
True.
Anaheim, California, it's a little bit closer to home for a lot of the U.S. creators. So I know for this year, a lot of content creators applied for Worlds. And
that is true. There's probably more people that applied for this year than maybe any of the past couple years because it's just in a it's in Anaheim, California.
Yeah. And a couple of things I like to mention on the Coops topic is we don't know what kind of creators they want there. And I know a lot of people think about the TCG space as such a huge portion, But for content creators, there's musicians, there's cosplayers, there's video gamers,
that is true.
There's all kinds of creators, and the Pokemon Company tries to invite as many as they can. And realistically, the trading card space is just a minor sphere of the whole entire Pokemon community.
The pie. That is true. And that's why I was like, I did leave a comment. I can't remember. Maybe it was on YouTube or maybe it was Instagram. But Coops, you're always welcome in the card lounge. Yeah. So if you want to come here and lounge with us, I told him he has a standing invite.
Yeah.
And then we can get Coops in here. But it does, actually, now that you say that, it does kind of make some sense, at least, that there's Pokemon video game players, and Worlds covers the Worlds tournament for them. So there's creators that maybe a lot of the card people or people that follow, I guess, specifically Pokemon card content creators, they're not considering like these big Pokemon video game streamers, Pokemon Go people. Like you said, people that make music, people that do art in Pokemon, people that help make the show or like media, and if let's say they want 20 content creators to go, they need 4 from this place, 3 from this place, 3 from from the TCG side, maybe they only take like 4 or 5 people. And it's not to say Coops isn't big enough or talented enough or popular, especially with how well his videos have been doing this year. It's just like 5, if you get 5 TCG content creators, and maybe just because of historical kind of, if they're getting like Super Duper Danny and Real Breaking Nate, Leonhardt, Fringe, that's 5 people right there. And they could just be like, all right, that's all the, Rev, Ando, that's already enough TCG content creators.
Yeah. So the base of it, I got in, guys. I'm currently going to Pokemon Worlds as a certified content creator.
I was just gonna say, I didn't get in, guys, but I'm going to try to get a spectator thing, like I'm sure a lot of us are going to.
In prior years, I just went as a spectator. I've always gone as a spectator. Yeah. I get a little bit of imposter syndrome, so I've never applied to go because I don't feel like I deserve to go as a content creator. I don't know what I would even do there.
I think it makes... Really? I feel like it would make sense that you would go as a content creator.
I can. And for this year, obviously, Anaheim is in our backyard. It's very close to where we are located. So it made sense. I said, I'll just ask to go as a content creator. Yeah. And they let me in, which is fantastic. And I really appreciate the Pokemon Company for doing that. I have no idea what we're doing at Worlds because the Pokemon Company doesn't tell the content creators why you're going to World or what you're going to do. It's not so easy as you get in for free and you can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. They have an itinerary of things that they plan for the creators to do. And I don't know what their plans are. I don't know what the future of Pokemon is, but they're saying, hey, Jake, we want you to be there. So I wholeheartedly appreciate it.
Right. And then that's probably, I know we were talking about this a little bit off the pod of like the types of content creators that they want to go, whether specifically, if they want to cover a bunch of like news stuff or the card gameplay. I remember I used to play. I remember doing a lot of coverage of the news, of, like going to regionals and filming stuff there. Whereas like, Coops, even like the Bulbasaur, or, you see a lot of these, the POV vendor point of view content really just exploding really in the past, I would say like 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And I think I wonder if Pokemon is like, that's just not the type of content creator that we want specifically for this, to invite. And so it's not even like, that's why I don't even really take a shot to it. Cause I do sales too. Coops does sales. Anyone that does, I feel like a lot of people do. I mean, well, I guess so do you too. Yeah. But it's like, if it's the main kind of content that you do, that may just be the kind of bar that they, set for that.
So the thing about Pokemon Worlds is that it's not like a Collecticon or a front row card show. Right. If you're just interested in trading cards, you're better off going to those than Worlds, because Worlds is really a Pokemon championship tournament where people from around the world come together to compete on the TCG, the video games, Pokemon Go, all these different games that they have. It's really a center stage for tournaments. it is not a trading card centric event, or it's not a merchandise centric event. They have a Pokemon Center there where you can shop for some products. Very loose. There is not a ton of products.
Right. Well, true. And it runs out so fast because that's not the, we've kind of as a fandom have made the merch this like desirable, like, oh, Worlds merch is the best. You got to go to Worlds for that. But to your point, I think about like, so I've gone to the last 2 nationals for One Piece. They're so early on. Like, I think people just think Pokemon Worlds is the way it is because they've been doing it for over 25 years. It's become this huge, massive event. Probably the first Worlds ever. It's just 60 guys getting ready to play the tournament. That's what it is at its core, because the One Piece Worlds and the One Piece Nationals, it truly is just like a room. They put some kind of decoration up and it's like, all right, guys, be at your tables at 8 and you're going to play 12 rounds in a row. And that's the focus of Worlds.
Yeah. So Worlds doesn't have an artist alley. It doesn't have a vendor hall. It doesn't have a lot of stuff that you're used to. They don't have panels. If you're going there to watch people battle it out on video games and trading card tournaments, you're going there as a spectator. That's why it's called a spectator badge.
Yeah.
So unless you're there to spectate, there is not enough content for a normal convention goer. It's not a true convention in that same space. But they do announce a lot of really cool stuff, and that's why they want the creators there, so that the creators can get a little bit of a first peek and really hype up some of this event.
Stuff. Yeah. So, what would you're probably going to, shoot some video or make some content on maybe like some of the merch, the unique like merch that's there. You may cover like once the video game players or the card game players like get to the semifinals, like which countries is it, in between, and then once it's like to the finals, it's like, oh, it's so and so versus so and so, and like that would be entertaining for people that obviously play the games and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's what pretty much Worlds is going to be. Yeah. So unless you're a very specific person who's into that, I don't think you need to go to Worlds. It sounds amazing, and it is. I've been to Worlds many times, and you should go if you get invited or if you get a spectator badge, but it's not the same experience as a true convention, and that's what I want people to understand about Worlds, is that it's not a true, like a BlizzCon or TwitchCon or,
those or even, think about like Pat's like Card Party.
Card
I think
Party
that's
is
why
a way better event.
Pat made Card Party, I think, for like, I mean, of course he would, like Coops would go to a Card Party.
Right.
And then if like fans of just Pokemon or Pokemon cards or specifically of Coops wanted to meet him in person, then they would just go to Card Party. And that's why Pat holds Card Party.
Yeah. If you are just a fan of content creators and want to meet and greet a ton of them and view a vending hall and have lots of fun events, like
buy, sell, trade.
A Card Party is a better event
go
for
to
that.
Card Party, guys. It's a blast.
Yeah, no stab at World, but Worlds is a tournament event, and Card Party is more of a convention and true party event. So it depends on what you want to experience, but they're very, very different.
Yeah, and when we say Pat, guys, that's deep pocket monster. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen him or you've seen his shorts. Should I open it or should I keep it sealed? That event, Card Party, that's where you go to meet. That's his event.
That's a great impression. Should I open it or should I keep it sealed? You did it nailed on. I mean, you sounded just like the lady.
No, I didn't sound like that. I was off. I did not do it.
You did it exactly
to the right
tune,
guys. But yeah, it was so interesting to just see how many people were like, I mean, it actually kind of made me like a little like it. I don't know, like it shows how good Coops is for the hobby, because so many people are inspired enough by him that they would want to like champion, defend his honor and be like, no, Coops should go to this. Like, Pokemon, what are you doing? And that's good, because I think, I know we were talking about this off the pod too. It's like his content, I think, out of a lot of people's content, really draws in. I see this comment so much on his videos where people will say like, oh, I don't even like Pokemon, or I don't even collect Pokemon, but after watching your videos, I'm kind of like I'm like more interested in it. Like there's something about the way he does his videos, and obviously he does so many nice things for kids and like gets the kids involved, that just draws the attention of just the world, even beyond the hobby.
Yeah, well, that moves into the topic of like vendor POV and how that has popped off. But it's really the humanity of it, is that you can be anyone and watch one of those videos and see a transaction or an interaction between two people and enjoy that experience, because anyone can enjoy a wheel or deal content. It's very easy. It's like Antique Roadshow, where you might not know what the product is, but you can sort of see like, oh, that is really valuable. Would I take that deal?
Yeah.
And that triggers sort of like an interesting part of your brain where you enjoy interactions.
People do like that. You know, like if you just see, like Antique Roadshow, that's why that show's been successful for so long. Or even like Pawn Stars, right? With Chum Lee. It's like the idea that, you know, people just come in with these things that are valuable to them, these collectibles or, you know, whatever it may be, from cards to memorabilia. And then, you know, some expert comes in and they're like, oh, this is, you know, Babe Ruth's first baseball glove. This is $2 million. And you're just like, what? That glove is $2 million? That's crazy.
Yeah, I think a lot of the comments when you see those kind of deals is people are saying stuff like, oh, that belongs to your grandma. Why are you selling that? Or, oh, that guy gave you half of what you asked for. Why would you take those deals? You know, where they're putting themselves in the trader's shoes, and they're seeing if they would make that deal or not. That's the humanity of it. It's what people enjoy the interaction is they think about, would I take this deal or not, as if they're the ones that's doing the transaction.
Yeah.
You know, and that's always fun.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk about, you know, deals.
A huge thank you to Misprint.com for sponsoring today's episode of the Card Lounge podcast. Guys, if you haven't checked out Misprint.com already, you are absolutely sleeping, because I am buying Pokemon cards from Misprint.com every single week. I don't have a single week that goes by where I don't find a good deal on a graded Pokemon card on Misprint. And their service keeps getting better week over week, because now they also offer sealed products. This is absolutely brand new, and they offer sealed products on all of the latest Pokemon card products, as well as Journey Together, so you can make an immediate decision whether you want to pick up products or not. They offer all the analytics at your fingertips, so you can immediately see the population reports on recent Pokemon cards, what the eBay sold listings on cards are, what the trend prices on all of these cards are. They also offer their Misprice special, where they are constantly offering cool Pokemon cards at really, really cheap prices for exclusive deals, such as this special illustration rare Venusaur EX for simply a misprice of just $5. And even more, they are still developing their platform to add more and more cool stuff for you and I. You can now track your collection on Misprint.com using their millions of data analytics points. I've already started tracking a little bit of my collection, and I'm very surprised that I've only added 8 Pokemon cards to my total collection, and apparently those 8 Pokemon cards are worth $35,000. That is absolutely insane. We got ourselves the Mario Pikachu and the Luigi Pikachu listed as Holy Grail cards, and I guess these other cards are listed as Grail cards, which is all very, very cool. So absolutely check out Misprint.com today. They also have an amazing app available both on the Apple Store and the Android Store, where you can scan all of your graded slabs in one easy photos. That's right, you can scan a dozen Pokemon cards with a single photo on Misprint.com. It's a really, really cool service made by collectors for collectors. Please check them out. They are worth it. We do absolutely mean it. Thank you so much to Misprint.com for sponsoring today's episode of the Card Lounge podcast.
When you and me would call each other before the podcast, half the discussion is like, oh, you get any cool cards? You get any good deals? You've gotten some good deals recently on some Buzzwole cards.
I promise you guys that I'm going to be picking up every single Buzzwole card that is available.
Yeah.
And we're making good progress. I'll show you guys the card soon, but I'm making good progress. I'm sniping the cards.
How's that going? Like, how many cards have you gotten since you talked about it?
So the good news, Buzzwole does not have a ton of cards. I know, surprising.
Yeah, it's surprising.
Buzzwole does not have a ton of cards. And the most expensive card is the Buzzwole and Pheromosa alt art card from Unbroken Bonds.
Makes sense.
The Tag Team GX card, obviously. That's a big card. I already have that in PSA 10 now, and I got a fantastic deal on it. I think I got it for like $170 all in.
Oh, man.
And that's an alt art PSA 10 from Unbroken Bonds. You would be ecstatic to pull any alt art card from a booster box.
Yeah.
So the fact that that's like $170, that was a steal. And that was the most expensive one. So the mountain's been climbed.
Right.
All the other cards are much cheaper. It's a much easier challenge to do than one of every
Other
Pikachu
stuff.
card,
Yeah.
one of every Gyarados, one of every Rayquaza. Any
Right.
of those, close to impossible. I don't even want to try it.
Dude, it's okay. Actually, this is a perfect segue into something I would just talk to you about anyway. The Pikachu promo. I got all the Battle Festas in a BGS 10.
Okay.
And there have been a couple Pikachu promos. Actually, I think we got the boxes right here. We do. The Chinese exclusive Pikachu promos. There's like a couple that are out. And then there's like the anniversary one where I think it's Pikachu. And there's a terastallized Charizard at the bottom. Dude, trying to find those cards is actually very difficult. And they've been out. I thought there would be more copies, like graded, like up for auction or that I would see, but I'm not seeing them.
Yeah.
So
I recently opened up these booster boxes. So that's why they're on the videos.
Nice.
I opened some of these recently, and I've never opened up Chinese Pokemon cards before. And I know a lot of people immediately have a little standoffish because they don't like new languages. They don't like new stuff. Like anything that's new or foreign, and that's for everything. Food, lifestyle, anything. You just start like, oh, I don't know. I want to touch something new. So I experienced the Chinese booster boxes recently. So this set is called Horizon's Gem. And you've never opened up this box, right?
I haven't. I've seen it opened up, and I've seen like the kind of different reverse hollows and stuff you can get from it. It looks cool.
We're going to open up this box some point later, I promise you.
Nice.
And I want to see your reaction because I'm going to tell you right now, for the price of this box and the content inside, you are going to be blown away. You're going to be like,
really?
What?
I think most people just don't expect to collect Chinese cards. I think also adding into what you were saying before about people being hesitant. I mean, Chinese Pokemon cards already has a bad rap because that's where all the fakes were from for a long time before Pokemon officially printed official Chinese Pokemon cards. So now, guys, when you hear the term like, oh, Chinese cards, like Chinese Pokemon cards, there are real officially licensed Pokemon cards. But for the longest time, like I guess really ever since we were kids, there have been fakes coming out of China of just fake copies of Pokemon
I know like
cards.
the original base set, there's like Chinese base
fakes of those,
But there are reals. There are original like actual Chinese base set cards.
Because there's a Chinese base set box.
Yes, but not a ton of them. At some
point,
point,
did they print those?
I don't know. But at some point, they had to withdraw from China. I'm sure things didn't work out well. Maybe it was the political climate at the time, whatever the reason. But they're back in China now, and they're doing good stuff. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'll talk about it later, but they're doing a lot of good stuff with these boxes to make sure that they're real, they're authentic, and they're trying to convince people that this is worthy to collect. And I think this specific box blew me away. It was that
you would
good.
say it's worthy.
Oh,
Wait, over this one, the green one?
That one is just Chinese 151, and it's a little boring.
Wait, okay. So this one is just like has 151 in it, but it does have an exclusive. And I like Pikachu promo. Well, I know
do too,
we
which is why I
we
opened
both
it.
like Pikachu promos, but they're gonna come out with more of these boxes where it features Pikachu and then surrounded by like other Pokemon.
Yeah.
So this is the one that has him in the forest.
Yeah.
And eventually there's one with like him and like a Gengar.
And that one's going to be the most expensive one by far, not even close.
It looks cool. I mean, they all look cool. I want them all.
But from a pack opening experience, this one's a little boring because it's just Chinese 151.
Okay.
And if you're used to opening up 151, you're not going to get a crazy experience out of this one.
You've just seen all the cards.
Yes. But this one is completely unique in that the cards only exist in here. Like you don't get these cards in any other sets. If you want some of the cards, these are exclusive in that like you have to open up this specific set. It does not exist in Japanese or English.
Now, do you mean the artworks or the style of the holographic foil?
Both.
Oh, it's got unique artworks.
And I know who you are as a collector. I know you like your holographic reverse. Like when you get a good holographic reverse.
I mean, if it looks nice.
Yeah, if you get a good Master Ball, like you get a little tingle up your spine. I'm going to tell you this set is going to blow you away. Like you're going to open it and you're like, what?
Wait, really? Okay.
I'm hyping you up to the point now.
At one point, I was going to get some of these.
Don't worry. We're going to open this up later and I want to see your reaction because it blew me away.
I do feel like it's like, once I started collecting English, I'm like, all right, I'll get all the English promo Pikachus. And then you just see such cool Japanese ones. You're like, oh, I got to get these Japanese ones, like the Battle Festas, because there's no English version of those. And then the thought of like another language that has more exclusives, I'm just like, my wallet is gonna be hurting.
If I'm gonna say they did this set right, is that if you're someone who they're asking, how do we get people, or how do we convince people to collect Chinese Pokemon cards?
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I would have those bullet points is you got to 100% make sure it's super authentic. Like, make it so official that no one would ever guess that it's fake. It's so official because they have security on this. Like, they have an official sticker on it that can't be fake. All the cards have an official stamp on them.
I heard about that. Yeah, so on the it's the Pokemon logo in the bottom left corner.
It's super fine. It's imprinted on there. It's a physical indentation.
Right.
And
so
it's very hard to fake.
Right. A counterfeiter couldn't just print it and have it look the same.
Yeah, they're doing stuff like they're pulling the bullet points, right? Make sure it's super legit, authentic. Make the set super cool and awesome. Make it exclusive so that you can't compare it to other sets, and add in unique cards that are going to draw in that audience, right? So now you're tempted to open this up because there's a $100 Captain Pikachu art rare card that is super cool.
Right, and that's only in Chinese, right? Is
Correct.
that alt art Captain's Pikachu card?
Yeah, and that's the reason why I opened up this set, because I wanted that card.
I do want to get that in a BGS 10. It just looks kind of cool.
And they're doing the right stuff to try to convince people, and it's going to take time. Yeah. But I think eventually the audience will accept it as a new available product that you don't have to collect if you don't want to, but it's just another option that if you want to pull that trigger, especially on the price. These booster boxes are like $40.
Pretty cheap. See, okay, yeah, I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be fun to do, like a box break of, or opening. Like, hey, maybe we can do some with, like, you know, people listening in right now to the Card Lounge. Like, we could just do it on one of our channels.
I can tell some people are going to say, like, Jake, are you a Chinese spy? I'm not. It is that good of a box. For $40, it's better than an ETB opening. I would open this over an ETB any day.
Oh, yeah, I guess right. If you're,
For $40, compared this to like a Journey Together ETB that's like $70 or $80, I would rather open up 2 of these over Journey Together ETB. Yeah. It's just more fun to me. And I'll get your reaction, but you'll enjoy it. I think you'll like it. For what it is, for the price, it's a good, fantastic product, which I'm happy with.
Yeah, and you know, this will probably even segue into the news that, well, I mean, guys, Journey Together is about to drop. Some people already have it. I'm sure you guys have already seen it being opened on, you know, Whatnot and TikTok and YouTube. It's kind of like the fanfare is there for English Pokemon cards. I still don't know if they're printing enough. And this may be a cheaper, or, you know, not cheaper in quality, but just a better a better value buy if you don't mind Chinese cards. Obviously, you know, we're in the USA, so people are going to want to collect their English cards. But, you know, I could see this being an alternative, especially if you just can't get a hold of, you know, Prismatic Evolutions or Journey Together. And then now, have you seen the announcements for the Rocket stuff for Destined Rivals? Yeah. It's like, I already see the hype train just going full speed ahead again.
I did a video talking about this, and there were a couple of comments who said, hey, Jake, why you shouldn't be hyping up like the Rocket set and making it more overblown. Mm-hmm. But I have to let viewers know is that if I think the set is going to be very hard to find, it's prudent on my responsibility as a content creator that I let the viewers know, hey, this set's going to be hard to find. And that's 100% going to be the case. There's no way Destined Rivals is going to be cheaper than Journey Together right now.
Well, okay, so because what they're saying, they're commenting to you, oh, you're hyping it up by saying that it's going to be hard. Well, yeah, because if you just said, oh, guys, it'll be easy to find, and then when it's not and it's really hard to find, then you just look like someone that doesn't know that what you were talking about, and you were like telling people not to, you know, I guess be prepared. But
guys, I don't want the set to be a $400 booster box.
I know,
but it might be. Like,
you think that?
It's insane, right?
But you think it'll be $400 a box?
Dude, Journey Together is $250 a box right now, and we know that Team Rocket is going to be more hype. And even if they print more, I don't think they're going to print enough, especially at the initial release, to cover the hype that this set has.
So, okay, I think they could print more. I guess enough would be subject, you know, who knows if they print enough.
I want them to print more.
I want them to print more. But so how about this though? They didn't print enough Prismatic Evolutions. I wish they had the foresight, because I mean, when all this stuff was being announced, there was so much hype for it. Everyone kind of knew it was going to be Evolving Skies 2.0. But I guess by the time like extreme hype was realized, I feel like Pokemon's already done printing that set. Because guys, what you don't realize is they're not printing the set that's going to come out in a month before. That print was done
6-7 months ago.
Months ago, guys, almost half a year ago. So now that they realize the hype from like a couple months ago and we're in this crazy, like, everyone's back into Pokemon card collecting, I do hope that Destined Rivals will see a larger than average print. And we've already seen kind of the leaks that have like gone around.
Yeah.
I know you and me have both made videos on this where people have found a legitimate Destined Rivals booster pack out in the wild. And then I saw another video where someone had like 40 or 50 packs. Like they had this whole video where, they could be opening all those packs. Yeah. I haven't seen like someone on camera being filmed opening a pack, which I think is a little weird, but the English packs they're
floating around.
They're in existence, which means I hope they're printing, a lot of that.
That makes sense in that typical Pokemon company where if they increase the print run, the quality goes out the window, and now you find packs in products that they shouldn't be in.
Right.
That's something that happens when you overprint or you print a ton and you start making little mistakes like that.
It's a good sign that that quality, that they're just like printing like crazy. Because
100%. Destined Rivals will have a larger print run than Journey Together or Surging Spark. 100%.
Yeah, which is good.
But realistically, right? Like how much can they crank that by? Can they double it? Can they triple it? That's the thing. And even a tripling, I don't think is enough.
Right. I get what you mean by that, because it's like there wasn't enough surging to meet demand.
There wasn't enough Journey.
Right. I guess.
And now they're playing catch up.
Right. Because if your argument is, if there's enough Journeys together, boxes would be like, or not even 100, like 140 or 150.
Right.
The fact that they're not that just shows that there's not enough of it out there to meet even just like basic demand of people just getting one box, let alone how many collectors do we know like us, or just even regular, like any collector wants to open more than one booster box. Like one person could open 6 or 7, over a month or two's period of time.
So speaking of that, recently they dropped the Super Premium collection on the Pokemon Center website.
Right.
Did you get one? Just a quick question.
Right. You're talking about Prismatic Evolutions.
Yeah, the Prismatic Evolution Super Premium collection. Did you get one?
I did not. And I did try, and I feel like I saw a lot of stories that are I'll say this, I didn't try that hard because I knew Pokemon wouldn't try that hard in stopping bots. I feel so bad for people that waited in the queue line, and then you saw the pictures floating around of like someone's email where they just had 100 orders back to back of the SPC. Yeah. And you're just kind of like, dude, who is that guy? How did Pokemon not stop that guy from getting 100 orders on one account? It's crazy.
Yeah, and they might cancel some. I'll give the Pokemon company the benefit of the doubt that they might cancel some, but I didn't get one either. Yeah. And I did a video on it. People basically said that at a certain point there was like 500,000 people in the queue.
Yeah,
which is insane. Like I don't know if it's all 500,000 real people or bots or whatever, but even if it was bot, that's still a ton of demand. Right. All 500,000 people aren't going to be able to get one Super Premium collection. So I made a statement in my video, which I said, hey, if the Pokemon company prints 2 million Super Premium collection, that's just a number. I don't think 2 million is enough to meet the demand of how many of these people want. Is that if there's 500,000 people in the queue in just 1 hour, they could probably sell 2 million in a week.
Right, because those are like the hardcore. I mean, think about how many people that want this item that don't even know about the Pokemon Center or only buy cards like in the physical, like go to a shop or go to a Target.
If you were just sleeping in or napping for 30 minutes or 10 minutes even, you missed the drop. You missed it. I'm sorry. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
I think items should be available on the Pokemon Center for, say, at least a week before it sells out.
Agreed.
It gives you enough opportunity that if you really wanted one, you have the time to think it over and make that decision. When things are only available for 10 seconds or 5 seconds, it creates irrational decisions, right?
That's true.
Because you have to make that decision immediately.
Yeah.
And it preys on people that, let's say, you don't even have the money. Let's say you're in credit card debt, but you need this item so badly, you're willing to go into more debt because you have to act immediately. And I don't like that. It preys on people's decision making that in a certain way that is not fun.
I get what you're saying. And yeah, it's weird because Pokemon could just do better. Just simply add some stuff. I mean, they have all of our emails, right?
Yeah.
Like instead of there's this one shop in like around where I live, this LGS, I like the way that they do pre-orders because they know the people that come in and play the games or go to locals. And if you're interested in pre-orders, they're like, all right, email us or give us your email. And then they just like a week or two before, and they'll have a set price based on, what they feel. And I feel like they have pretty fair pricing. They will send you an email and it's just like, hey, you can get a box of this or 2 boxes of this. Do you want to buy it? If you do, click here and you can just get it from your email. And Pokemon could just send out an email to where, if you get that email, it's like, oh, in there's a unique link just for me. And if I click on it, I'll be able to buy a super premium collection. And it's like, they could implement something as simple as that. And they just, I guess, refuse to. I don't know.
Yeah. So for the super premium collection drop specifically, right? Mm-hmm. The Pokemon company absolutely sends out emails marketing like new drops or new merch. They send me stuff like that all the time for like plushies and stuff. But the different thing about the super premium collection was they didn't need to market it because the hype was so there, they're going to sell out no matter what. And I know this because on the day the super premium collection dropped, and I think this is hilarious, but they did create a marketing banner for the super premium collection that appeared on the Pokemon Center website. Is that if you click on the Pokemon Center, it'll take you to their front page, and they have sliding banners of all the new drops.
Yeah.
And there was one advertising the super premium collection. But by the time the banner dropped, it has already sold out.
Yeah.
So the banner didn't matter.
Didn't even do anything.
Someone spent time creating that banner to market the super premium collection
for nothing.
And I just think that's funny that they spent all this time planning over this marketing deal with the product, and by the time it's on the store, the product's already sold out.
I wonder, so do we think, and I guess a lot of people in the hobby talk about this a lot, is it just that Pokemon just really doesn't care about the kind of, they make all their business decisions not necessarily considering about the secondary market at all? So it's like they're known to put boxes, put packs, put whatever up on their site. And it's like, if someone knows how to, bot something where they can make 1 million accounts that are unique and trick the site into believing that, and then, get it all shipped to the same place, though, that Pokemon just doesn't care, because they have bought, what pisses me off the most, and I know this has happened to a lot of people because I've seen a lot of people make videos on this, and I'm sure this has happened to a lot of you guys that are listening to this podcast right now. If you just kind of type, when you're trying to check out quick, right? But if you type too fast, the site blocks you and says, oh, you're inputting your keys faster than a normal human. We think you're a robot, so you're blocked from the site. And it'll block real collectors and real people from getting stuff. And then you see someone with a bot receipt and they're like, oh, I picked up 100 of these. And you're like, what is going on? Like, how could that happen?
Yeah, I'm not a techie guy, but I've had that happen to me before.
Same.
Where I get that exact message and it's a little bit condescending, where they're like, oh, I can tell you're typing way too fast. And I know what's happening.
Like,
what's basically happening is that you type in something, but because the server is so slow, it's sending all of your key inputs at the exact same time. So it looks like you're typing rapidly, but really you're typing like a normal person. It's so backlogged, but they shouldn't. I'm pretty sure they removed that message. I haven't seen it recently. Maybe they still do it, but I
think some people have gotten it.
Yeah,
recently.
like I do know the bot detection thing is still catching real people all the time.
Yeah.
Is that if you refresh your Pokemon Center page too often and stuff, I've been caught in that. It absolutely does occur, and that sucks.
And then it blocks you, and then you can't even check out with that or like any other stuff that you want until, I guess, I don't know, maybe after like 24 or 48 hours. So yeah, it's just kind of it's kind of weird that they can't fix that.
I'm not going to say I'm defending the Pokemon company, but I will say that there were periods of time when the sites were readily available and fully stocked with products.
Yeah, I remember that time. And
that was available for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And no one had any issues. It's just that right now, in this very tight period of time, where they have a fine magnifying glass, where everyone's super angry at them, which is fair.
Yeah.
They can do better. But there were a period of times when things were just readily available, but no one bought it.
Well, it became crazier. Like, I'm talking even before the Pokemon Center ETBs. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't really anything to race to the Pokemon Center to exclusively buy. But I do remember buying older, like when I had gotten back into the hobby, it was like just starting the Sword and Shield era, but there was like old XY, old Sun and Moon stuff still on there.
Yeah.
So, but then also I didn't realize that and buy that stuff till like maybe 9 months to a year of me being back in, because what's funny is, and then you mentioned about how many people were waiting in the queue. I think a lot of new people getting back into the hobby don't even realize the history of going to the PokemonCenter.com, like that you can go to their main site to buy cards directly from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because most people are just so used to buying their cards from a card shop. And so I was actually fairly late to the game in being like, oh, there's a website where I can go and just like order cards directly. Yeah. And before, you wouldn't do that because usually the prices on most stuff would be more expensive than your local game shop.
There was no reason to ever buy a booster box from the Pokemon company directly
at MSRP
at $160 because you can buy it from your card shop for $100. Right. But obviously the situation has
now it's flip-flop because now it's like it's so tough to get stuff from distro, and like the market demand, like you have to the price is so high, but Pokemon Center is still going to just keep it at their market price. And now it's like, oh, you want to buy stuff at the Pokemon Center because it's actually a little cheaper sometimes.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap for a long time. For a long time, it was not cheap. And no one went on the Pokemon Center to pick up an Elite Trainer box for $50 because you can pick it up from your card shop for $30. There's no reason to pick up a booster box for $160 because you can pick it up from your card shop for $100. Nothing was really cheap on the Pokemon Center. If you remember the Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes, a lot of them did not sell out for the longest time. Some of them, like the Paradox Rift ones and some other ones, they were available for months. For months, they did not sell out. Some of them sold out immediately, like 151 did.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, people just didn't care about, and now people are suddenly realizing, like, oh, this is hot stuff now.
They go, yeah.
It's just a flip in the perspective on what's desirable. And that can happen to any collectible.
Right. I do notice now, it's like, I remember just always being like, oh, I'm always going to buy the maximum of the amount of Pokemon Center ETBs, because it always, when I saw that they first started to do that, it was, which one? It wasn't Battle Styles. It was
the first one that they did, or is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, the first. I think it was.
I know which one it is.
Oh wait, or was it Battle Styles?
No, I know the exact one.
It was Chilling Reign.
It was Chilling Reign.
It was Chilling Reign.
And do you remember the Chilling one? Debacle. They had a debacle.
Oh,
with Chilling Reign.
Yeah. And then they printed those extra bird packs because you didn't get the extra cards in the Pokemon Center ones.
So what happened with the very first Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box drop was in Chilling Reign, and at that time the Pokemon Center was still experimenting with their own exclusive Elite Trainer box. They dropped the Chilling Reign exclusive Pokemon Center ETB. It came with extra packs, and that was it. There was no exclusive cards yet.
Right, they didn't have an exclusive promo yet.
And the only thing that it came with was 2 extra packs. But the thing is, they didn't give you 2 extra packs inside of the ETB.
Yeah, they forgot them for the first one.
Whoever did the manufacturing thought that it was like the exact same thing.
Right.
And they just did 8 booster packs like they always did for that eras of Elite Trainer boxes.
Yep.
So the Pokemon company had to apologize and sent you those 2 extra packs later.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, they didn't have anything inside of the Pokemon Center ETB except for like 2 extra packs.
Right.
And now they start doing more and more exclusive stuff.
That you're right. That's honestly probably the biggest catalyst is the fact that now there is this Pokemon Center stamped. And we've talked about this. People love their stamps and their exclusivity. And this exclusive Pokemon Center stamped promo inside not only makes that promo more unique, it's going to be hard to get. Collectors all around the world want to get it, even though this is a English exclusive item. And like really, and I just realized from talking to someone internationally like a couple days ago that we're really the ones that have the access to the Pokemon Center. Like, how there's a Pokemon Center UK and stuff, but do they do the Pokemon Center ETB drops there?
I'm pretty sure they do. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they do. Maybe they don't. I don't
Someone
know
in
for
the
sure.
comments from Europe or elsewhere. Right. So someone I think, see, now I don't know because now I'm second guessing myself, but they made me think the US had exclusivity on that.
Partially in that, even if we didn't, there's only 3 places with these Pokemon Center, which is UK, Canada, and US.
That's true.
And if you live in Spain and Italy or Brazil, like guess what? You're just out of luck.
Exactly.
Like, so
and
I get that.
You might want to collect the Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, whether for the promo or even just for the exclusive design of the box. Yeah.
These don't exist in Japan.
All the Asian countries. So like think about every Asian collector and how many people are over there. They got to wait for someone to get it in America and then buy it for most likely more money on the secondary market.
Yep.
So, I mean, the fact that they were that exclusive, I'm always trying to get them. I just like that it's like a separate design because, I collect unique ETBs. And I'm trying to get one of every single ETB. And now I'm like, I'm so close away. I just need like 3 or 4 more. But man, now they are getting so lazy with the designs. They're like not even that different.
Let me ask you about this. And this is more of a context question. Context is really important, okay?
Okay.
Because sometimes, for instance, I'm going to just rant for a bit on context.
Okay.
All right? Let's say someone asked me, hey, Jake, is a $150 for a Scarlet and Violet base set booster box good? 4 months ago, no, that's a terrible deal. Don't pick one up for $150. Now, great deal. Pick it up for $150.
Yeah.
And so the context of when we say certain things matter a lot.
Context matters.
So right now, the Pokemon Center stamped Charmander PSA 10 is currently going for $1,800.
Oh my! I know. I saw.
And I want you to, just because you collect these, right? Would you say $1,800 for the Charmander is underrated or overrated? Is that like where it should be?
It's overrated. I saw there was something on IG. I can't remember which page posted it about just the Flutter Mane. I think it's the Flutter Mane, and it's not even that crazy of an artwork. Sure. I can't even remember which ETB it comes out of, but a Pokemon Center, the PSA 10 version of it was almost $2,000.
Yeah.
For the Flutter Mane.
I thought you were going to say it's underrated just because you love them, but it's good to know. Well, it's good to know that your mind is I think you're in the right place. Is that I also don't think that stamp is worth like $2,000. Like I don't think that card is worth it's an ETB exclusive and it's cool, but like people are clearly out of their mind if they're paying $2,000 for that card.
Right. And the thing is, if you want to pay, like it's, as I always say, like you can spend your money however you want. I think it's like, you have to think about the comparisons though. Like there's no wrong way to collect, and I'll always stand by that. Like collect what you love. And if someone really loves that card, I guess, I don't know, you can argue that there's not a lot of them because the Pokemon Center stamped. And if you want it specifically in a PSA 10, how many people are really opening up a Pokemon Center boxes and finding like perfectly, good copies? It's kind of like we're seeing this trend, especially in the Scarlet Violet era, where a lot of 10s are really selling as a premium, not so much because of the value of the individual card per se in its raw form, but just because in a 10, there's just less, I guess, gem mint copies. Yeah. There's less 10s, but the 9s will go for almost the same price as the raw copy because there are enough 9s and there are enough 8s out there. Yeah. But the 10s have like a lot less lower population.
Yeah, right now, and we've experienced this before, is that there's grading bottlenecks. And right now we are absolutely experiencing a grading bottleneck, is that it takes time for these cards to get evaluated and graded. And I'm sure more people are sending in these Pokemon Center stamp cards as they realize how valuable they are now to get graded. But it will take 3 to 6 months for these cards to be added to the market. And right now, because of that bottleneck, there's very few listings of these cards.
That's
so
true.
The people that are selling them, they can ask whatever price they want. And if you're someone that's rich enough, you're going to pay for it. And I get where you're coming from, and I'm the same way, which is ultimately right now, and the Obsidian Flames Elite Trainer box, the one that the Charmander comes in, even the Pokemon Center exclusive one, it's currently going for between $300 to $400, that ETB.
Wow.
So from a comparative point of view, isn't it better to just pick up 5 or 6 of the sealed ETB
and try to grade it yourself
rather than picking up the graded card?
Of course.
And that's the gap, right? That's the bottleneck, is that there's very few graded cards, but there's a ton of the ETB stuff still sealed if you really want it.
So this is I always like it's always interesting to gauge how people think about this scenario, especially because you and me, we know how to like grade cards. Not everyone knows how to. So some people just don't even mess with it. So they're like, I just got to wait till someone else grades it. Because some people just don't want to deal with it. And I get it, because it can be a very like intensive and time consuming, pastime to grade cards yourself.
And that's the person who's buying it for $2,000 is the guy who says, you know what, I don't want to
spend that time.
Yeah. Maybe they're rich enough. Maybe they're a multimillionaire and it's not even worth their time to buy the ETBs and look for the card. Yeah. It's just better use of their time to just pick up the graded slab.
Oh, that's what I was going to say earlier. You know what? I didn't finish my thought on the, when I'm talking about comparing it to, so the reason I think the price is so overrated is, I guess if you're like a rich millionaire and that's who bought that card for $2,000, maybe $2,000 is nothing to you. I just hope the person that bought it isn't someone that's not a millionaire. And what I mean by that is, again, it's your money. You can spend it how you want. $2,000 for that card when you don't have a lot of money seems egregious. And if you're okay spending $2,000 on Pokemon cards, I guess I just feel there's way more stuff you can buy that's a better buy, that's rarer stuff. It doesn't need to cause this like battle between vintage and modern collectors, but that's a fairly modern card, the Fluttermane. And yes, it does have a Pokemon Center stamp, but for $2,000, you could pick up like
EV Alt-Arts.
That, or you could go back, you could pick up like 7 Aquapolis Hollows in a 9.
Yeah.
And to try to get those cards and buy the source of that product, which is an Aquapolis box or Aquapolis packs, open them up, get the actual holo hits versus not, and grade them in a 9, a much harder task than going and finding the Paradox Rift Pokemon Center ETB, ripping that open and just grading your own Fluttermane.
And I agree with that. Like same kind of scenario is that if you eliminate the prices on or label the prices on these cards, you basically say, would you rather have this Fluttermane or would you rather have a Sylveon VMAX Alt-Art, a Glaceon VMAX Alt-Art, a Leafeon VMAX Alt-Art, like all of those cards combined for the single Fluttermane, I would pick the 3 Alt-Art Evolving Skies hit any day of the week.
And that's what people don't understand about value. I see so much value placed on comps. And one thing that you and I know, and I guess this is, hopefully you guys listening to this podcast can learn from Jake and I the difference between price and value. And when I'm talking value, the time and effort to open up the amount of Evolving Skies packs that you need to open up at the price that they are to pull the Alt-Arts, the 3 Alt-Arts you just listed, it's so much harder.
It's astronomical.
It's crazy. And the fact that you could get 3 of the Alt-Art Evolutions, or maybe even 4 in a 10, or you could pick up the Pokemon Center Fluttermane. It's just kind of like, you gotta go, I would hope you would go buy that stuff, because it's like, it just is the way kind of smarter value play, you know? And now, if you're a millionaire and you just got $1 million to spend on Pokemon, sure, spend $2,000 on the Fluttermane.
Yeah, I did this exact same comparison recently where I showed off a bunch of special illustration rares and hyper rare cards that you can find in Scarlet and Violet packs. And these cards are currently going for $4 to $5. These are special illustration rare cards that are going for $4 or $5. Like they're not super popular. They're trainers or they're Iron Bundle or something like that. Like random special illustration rare that aren't super popular. But if you buy 5 of them, that's $25. Yeah. Would you rather have 5 special illustration rare unique ones, or would you rather have 5 booster packs? If you pull 5 special illustration rares in a row from 5 booster packs, you would probably be like, oh my God, I'm insane. This is amazing. So why not just pick up those 5 cards for $25 anyway?
Correct.
So that's the value that you're saying as well.
Yep. And yeah, you could do that with like the packs versus singles. And it's funny. And I think people understand that kind of logic, metaphorically speaking, in the example you gave more. But in grading, I do still see a lack of, like, there's a knowledge gap there where, you know what, perfect example. The homie, do you know Marcucci collects?
No.
Drew. Okay. He's got like a Magikarp as an icon. I don't know. People know him. Mm-hmm. He's cool. Shout outs to the boy Drew. He graded a black label, the new Articuno. I think it's just the Articuno EX Alt Art.
Oh, I
Is
know
it
this
EX?
guy. I know this guy
Because you've seen the card, right?
He grades a lot of black labels.
Yeah, he's good. I mean,
Yeah,
he understands, right? Like
and the
he
value,
puts in the work.
yeah, and the value once you get that black label spikes through the roof.
So exactly, and now a lot of people just sometimes look at that value. See, you're using the term value. That Articuno card is what? Like, see, I don't even know what it is raw. Maybe
there are cards that are like a $100 card raw, but suddenly you put a black label on it, and suddenly you have a $2,000 card.
Well, right, but that Articuno I don't even think is $100 card.
Yeah.
So the point being, it's a cheaper card, probably because it's not as rare as, say, like a Poncho Pikachu, for example. Mm-hmm. But he had posted that card up in a group chat, and he was kind of like, fielding offers or people were trying to like buy the black label Articuno, because Articuno is a pretty popular Pokemon.
Sure.
And he might get an offer for like $300, $400, $500, and it's like $300. You know how quick you can make $300, or like what that is in just modern packs of just like selling. I mean, that's like one booster box now. If Journeys together is 250, it's like the people think, because that Articuno is just like a $30, $40 card, and then it's in a BGS 10 black label, I just have to 10x that price. So I should only have to pay $500. If it's 30, I should only have to pay $300. Some people were offering him $700, and they're like, I think this is a really fair price for this, or I'm giving you a lot of money. And what people don't realize is you're not paying for that card raw and then just having it go get graded like simply just by saying, like he just was lucky, he found the perfect copy. It's like he put in the work to go through a ton of Articunos. And like, even if you didn't put in the work, let's say there's someone out there that grades with BGS, gets the black label, and it's like they just were lucky enough to have that one copy. What you're paying for is the time to replicate that same scenario. Like there's black label prices that I see are fair, and I'm like, all right, I'll spend the money on that because I know it's the most pristine like copy of that card. And then there's some where people inflate the price because they don't understand the value of their card. And I realize I can go, I can literally go buy 10 really clean copies of that card raw for way less, and I'll just grade them. And like, I'm pretty sure one might hit a black label or maybe multiple. Even the money for that, even if you spend over the amount of the price of buying one black label, it's the fact that if out of 10 copies you end up with one black label, but you also get 4 gold labels and say a bunch of 9.5s, you can sell those copies then, recoup that cost, and then it's much cheaper to get that card.
Sure.
So really what people need to realize when you're talking about value of things, guys, a lot of it is also the time invested into specific cards. And there are certain cards that have certain time put into them, and how that card became a black label, or, the work that was put in. You have to pay the owner of that card for their time. So it's kind of like you would have to give Drew a lot of money to try to get that Articuno. And maybe someone out there appreciates that time or that value and would give him more money. And then it would be on him to decide whether or not it would be fair to, if he wants to sell it, essentially.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting point, is that's a very niche card. It's practically a one of one.
It is. So, I mean, right now, I think.
And he has to find the right buyer for that. Yeah. He can ask whatever he wants. And that's what happens when you have a one of one card, is there might be one buyer out there that's willing to pay $5,000, and the very next buyer, the next person up, might be 500. But that could be the gap. There are people that one copy sells for $5,000 and the next copy sells for 500 because they're so niche. You have to find the right buyer who's willing to pay for that amount. And that's common with everything that is niche and right. It's that if you get the right person, you can get an optimal price. And he's waiting on that one person.
Yeah, I mean, well, right. I mean, obviously, I think that one card, like if you're a heavy Articuno collector, you'd probably really love that card. And I think it's also just the fact that, like, let's say 5 months from now, it's not Pop 1. It's still the fact that, like, how many people right now are spending their time hunting for clean copies of that Articuno card to specifically grade at BGS to specifically try to hit a black label. Like, I just don't think there's that many. So
I have some cards like that in my collection. I don't know if you do, but you might. But I have cards in my collection that are one of ones in that it's the only PSA 10 copy of this card. There is no one else with another PSA 10 copy. I'm the only one that owns it.
I have some BGS 10 copies, I think, that are like that.
That's a little bit different.
Well, you have a PSA 10 copy that you know is Pop 1?
Yes, 100% Pop 1. I'm the only one with it.
What card?
I can't say it. That wouldn't be fun to say. I don't want to spill the beans on I'm the owner of this card.
Everyone in the comments is now going to fry you because they're going to want to know what this card is.
But
I want to know what this card is.
I'll share with you eventually.
All right, you'll tell me off air.
But basically, like when you have a Pop 1 card, it's fun because it's not a card that you can find copies of this card out there. But
that's what I'm saying, though.
Right, but I'm the only one with a PSA 10 copy of this card.
But if there's copies of it out there, I just assume someone else in this entire planet outside of you would also have maybe tried to attempt to grade that card.
It's not easy.
And
Same
maybe
with
gotten a PSA 10.
It's not easy.
Well, but that Articuno's a fairly new card.
I don't know what card. You mean, is it the new illustration rare?
Yes, the new illustration rare Articuno.
Oh, well then eventually it will get more pop.
That's what I'm saying. It will, but even if it does, it's like, I don't expect the pop to go up to 20 in a black label. Like, maybe it will never hit even 5 or 10 because it's just like, you would have to have people trying to go grade it and grade extremely clean copies, well centered, obviously, or it won't hit a black label.
It's Japanese, right?
The
Japanese Articuno from Journey Together.
Correct. For
Battle
Partners. Yeah.
I think that one will probably get a couple more BGS black labels.
Sure.
My copy
over time though.
My copy, I'm very confident because it's like a 15-year-old card.
We'll never get another PSA 10.
And it's like a semi-trophy card. It will never get another PSA 10.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask you.
And I can't just spill the beans on it, but it is a cool card, and I'll share it with you eventually. But it's
a semi-trophy card.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first thought would have been it can't be a card that you pull from a set because you just wouldn't have the only PSA 10.
No, but it's one of those cards where, let's say, if I go to a random show, most vendors wouldn't pick it up because it's so niche. It's so hard to sell. It's too niche,
I get what you mean by that.
And it's one of those cards where, one person might offer me 1,000 and one person might offer me 10 grand because there's no valuation for a card that's never sold. It's never sold.
But yeah, I mean, and if you've got the only copy of it, you can kind of, it's like you said, you would get to set the price. I'm curious wait, is it Japanese or English?
Oh my God, I actually don't know. It's English. It's 100% English.
You don't know. How did you have to even think about that? Do you have the image of the card in your head?
Yes. I'm 100%, actually it's 100% English.
It's English.
Yeah, it's 100% English. And it is a really cool card, but
wow,
I don't know if I would ever sell it. It's one of those things where it's my forever collection.
Sure, yeah.
So like if someone really wants it and they offer me the right amount, maybe. But that's the same kind of scenario, is that for one of one cards, they're really unique. And that's cool. It's same with error cards. Error cards, one person might value an error at $5 and another person might value that error at 100.
A lot more, right. Just depending on how they like it. Yeah, it is funny. Right. When you talk about especially personal value, error cards or even cards with a certain holo, this is why certain cards with a swirl may go for more than the same card without a swirl, because someone out there is willing to pay a little extra more for that, and it does look nicer,
Sure.
And a lot of people agree on that. So it's just kind of like, if enough people can agree on something about any particular card, making it more valuable, then, regardless of if you personally don't think it should be more valuable, it doesn't matter if that person's willing to pay more for it.
Looping back into what you were talking about, underrated cards, that's what I wanted to bring up, was that for that Pokemon Center Stamp Charmander card, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about like the value and the work that's put into it.
Yeah.
The reason why I think it's overrated at a $1,800 or $2,000 card is that I know I can pick up that Pokemon Center ETB box for $300. I can pick up like 5 of it.
Correct.
And I'll probably get a 10 if I grade one of them, and they'll probably get at least 110.
Especially
so that's why I think it's overrated. Is that
right.
The value and time you put into it, it's not worth it to pick up the
Correct.
graded copy.
So let's break this even further down for the audience. The person that sold the card, I think, is very smart. Again, I'm not trying to say that whoever bought it for $2,000 is dumb. Like, if that's what they wanted to spend the money on, they can do that. But the distinction you just brought up is the fact that I think what they did was a lot of people know that the Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs are rare, or they're exclusive. And so I think a lot of them in the market are sealed. Now, if you're going to open one of those, and of course there's a exclusive stamped promo card in them, trying to buy those raw, I think, and grading them right now is a great time to basically just capitalize on the fact that not a lot of people are doing that with those copies. And so if you get a 10 on one of those, you're essentially kind of sitting on a gold mine, because a lot of newer collectors that may not know that they could spend $2,000 on like other Pokemon cards and have it be way more, I don't know, better bang for their buck. Like there's people right now that are maybe going, oh, I want to get every Pokemon Center exclusive stamped promo in a 10. There's enough people doing that, and there's not enough of the cards graded yet that anyone that realizes there's that delta, like that gap, is just going, oh, I can grade that Pokemon Center stamped one and get a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
And then you brought this up earlier. I think now that we're all seeing these prices, what does that make everyone do? That makes everyone go grab their Pokemon Center ETBs now and go, oh, I don't even need to sell this sealed anymore. I'm just going to rip it open and grade the Pokemon Center. And then everyone's going to do that. Right now, we're going to have a 3 to 6 month bottleneck of grading because everyone's trying to send their cards to grading. But 6 months down the line, do I think the Fluttermane Pokemon Center stamp in a 10 is going to be at sale for $2,000? No, I think it's going to be lower because there's going to be more copies in the world. Yeah. So that's what you need to understand for everyone that's listening. It's like the replication part of the work, or like what you need to do to get more of any one like raw card and then graded and then getting it onto the market, that takes time. But if you can understand that delta is there, and that's how people are capitalizing to get, you know, these extreme kind of prices and sales, you can kind of formulate better. Okay, is it worth buying this card now, or is it worth spending my money somewhere else? And usually if you can get better at seeing like, okay, what is the work that has to be put in, or, you know, is the time frame long enough to where people can grade a lot of this stuff, and this is truly what the market is? Because if that card was really super, super rare, maybe it is worth $2,000. But I think there's enough that are still ungraded, and I don't think it's a popular enough Pokemon like, say, the Moonbreon alt art, where the demand for an alt art Fluttermane is going to outweigh the supply of them.
Fluttermane lovers in the comment section, riot, blame Rob.
Yeah, I guess if you really love Fluttermane, let me know in the comments.
All right, but while you're talking about that, I wanted to bring up one thing, okay?
Okay.
You know a little bit about this, but to the viewers, this is a teaser. But recently, I picked up 100 copies of a specific illustration rare, and I didn't announce it. I didn't let anyone know that I was picking up 100 copies of this card because I didn't want people to think I'm market manipulating this card. But I just wanted to do an experiment where I said, hey, if I pick up 100 copies of this illustration rare, how hard is it to find PSA 10 copy? How hard is it to find a Gem Mint copy? Because usually when I talk about cards like the Charmander or the Fluttermane, and I say, hey, these cards aren't really worth that much, usually the defense is saying, oh, Jake, they're really hard to grade. You don't understand. Like, they are so hard to grade.
That's true.
And I don't know how hard it is to grade that card, so I want to test it out.
Right.
I bought 100 copies of this specific illustration rare. I sent a bunch of copies that I think are PSA 10 worthy to be graded, and I want to see how hard is it to actually grade that card.
Is that sent off yet?
Yeah, it's sent off.
Okay, I actually really like that you're doing this experiment, and I'm really excited to see the video you do on it. Like, I'll genuinely watch, like, with, you know, like, curious, you know, like, I want to see how many 10s you get back. I want to see your thoughts on why you sent the cards that you sent versus the other ones. Did you send any to BGS?
No, I still have some that are grade worthy, but basically I bought 100 copies of this illustration rare between eBay and TCG Player.
Sure.
And I just bought near mint listings as many as I could.
So you didn't even really get to inspect them, kind of.
Right. When I'm looking at the listing, I'm just buying them.
Yeah, whatever comes to you is going to come to you.
Yeah, and looking through the cards, I wanted to see how many of them were good enough to send off. And I was pleasantly surprised in that I thought a lot of them were way more clean than I give the sellers credit for, because a lot of people think if you're selling a card on TCG Player, you're probably selling a card that's not grade worthy. But from what I'm seeing is that a lot of these cards are grade worthy, and whoever pulled it from a pack, they simply sleeved it immediately and listed it immediately.
You can assume that from definitely vendors that if they grade a lot. That's a thing with going to card shows.
So
just
this is
seeing
something
raw
I noticed.
cards.
When I go to vendor shows, almost none of the cards are grade worthy.
Of course, because if they were, they would already be sending it off to grading for themselves, and then they'll just sell.
So that's
slab.
something I've noticed is that if you're looking for binder copies, vendor shows have binder copies.
Correct.
If you're looking for graded copies, surprisingly, TCG Player has decent listings.
So sometimes you just have to really know, and that comes with, again, experience in the hobby, guys, and also networking and talking to people. Like I know people. In fact, that's a lot of I have a lot of friends that if they go to shows, they're just hunting for clean, raw copies, and they'll pick up stuff and they'll go grade it and they'll get a BGS Black Label 10 on it. And it's like, they were like, oh man, it was just sitting there. And it comes down to the work. Like, are you willing to go sift through the sea of cards and find the diamond in the rough? And that's where you really, make that value, because you're the one that's putting in the time and the effort to discover that, and then change the raw card to its graded, maximum graded potential. Yeah. But I'm curious, with your cards that you got, what was the main deciding factor that you looked at in the condition of the cards that made you go, oh, this is going to go in the not send pile versus this is going to go in the send pile?
So this card, I was significantly more picky. Usually I'm not this picky because usually you only have one card to compare it to.
Yeah, right.
But when you have 100 copies, you get to really be picky.
Pickier, yeah.
And so there are cards that might be a 10, but because of one little off center, one little nick in the corner or something.
You're like, no.
Yeah, no, this is not even worth trying. But I have enough clean copies that I'm 100% confident. I sent in 30 copies. I'm confident I'll get a 10, obviously.
Yeah, I think
with how shifting I much did. And that's what I wanted to bring up was people are saying it's really hard to grade these cards. I just wanted to see how hard it actually is.
What if you don't grade a 10?
Yeah, then that would be good knowledge for the community. It is really hard to get a 10.
Well, it's really hard to get a. You know what's so funny? This is the perfect segue into something that we were talking about earlier. Have you noticed PSA giving out less 10s since that announcement of the centering thing not being like a 60-40 give now, but it's got to be more like 55-45? Because I have sent stuff to PSA. Well, this is, and again, you viewers, let me know in the comments if you have experienced this too. Dude, my last 3 PSA submissions I've gotten back have just, again, definitely had cards in there that are misgraded.
Did you get wrecked? What do you do? Was it pretty bad? Just giving a vibe check.
I'll say this: it's not even so much there's definitely 9s in there where it's like, oh, if I sent this a year, not even 6 months ago, it would have gotten a 10. But there's stuff where they'll just put a 7 or an 8 on it, and seemingly for no reason. You might randomly get a 5 in there, and I'll look it over real close, and then on some cards, I'm like, okay, there's a dent or an indentation, and that's why it knocked it down all the way to a 5. But there's some, I would say 7s or 8s I got back, and I turn it. Oh, I look at the front. I know how to grade. I'm looking at the centering, I'm looking at the corners, the edges, and the surface, and there is not a flaw on the card.
Yeah,
but they put a 7 on it, and it's just like, oh, you just graded this. This is just incorrect. How could you mess this up so bad?
I agree with that. Is that people have had that gripe with PSA forever, is that they're inconsistent with their grading. There are absolutely cards that people have gone back that were a 6 or 7.
Yeah.
They broke up the slab, they cracked it open, they resent it in, and it gets a 10.
I know. That is ridiculous. That's why I think it's so funny that people harp on
Tag rating?
Well, tag or BGS. Like, it's like, I like BGS because, to be quite frank, it's more consistent. And because it's the grading, I do feel like is a little harsh. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast episode where we could talk about how all the grading companies are messing up. But it is weird that, like, for the difference between a Beckett 10 and, like, say a Black Label, right? The price difference is, like, huge.
Yeah, we all know that.
But the difference in the card quality is actually very minute. Like,
I agree.
it's not so people think it's insane when a 9.5 can bump to a 10, or a 10 could be a Black Label as far as its distinction and card quality, when really the difference, the margin, it's like a speck. Sometimes it's a speck that's not even, like, visible to the naked eye. So you're like, why would this even be a factor?
Yeah.
Whereas the delta from a PSA 7 to a PSA 10, if you can look at that card and put a 7 on it and then look at it again and get a 10, that should cause way more outrage that, like, a grading company could have that extreme of a inconsistency when their one job is to just grade your card, like, grade it accurately.
Yeah,
you know?
I absolutely agree with this. And this is coming from someone who has a ton of PSA graded cards, is that people put way too much emphasis on the grades and labels when they should just be focusing on the cards.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, people don't know this, but card graders don't make that much money. These are not super seasoned professionals.
They should make more money.
They're
like teachers.
Yes, they're not seasoned professionals as you might think. There are graders out there that have been grading for 20 or 30 years, but the vast majority of these graders don't have that much experience on it, and they're getting paid like $25 an hour to grade thousands of dollars worth of cards. So yes, they make mistakes. And people make that joke all the time, is that if you get a PSA 7, your dude just had a bad day. I mean, and that could very possibly be
correct.
true.
With human grade. Okay, but I think that's the difference, or at least I sense this in the air right now over the last couple weeks, maybe months. Whereas if PSA just made a mistake, okay, that's happened. We've all had that in a submission. But recently, it's like too many mistakes.
Yeah.
It's like it's happening to too many cards and in every submission, where it's like, how could you be messing up this badly? You know, or there's damage. There's 2 cards I took photos of before and after. I'll get the 8 and there's like a corner ding or something, and I'll go look at my photo that I took of it before I sent it in, and I'm like, that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, you dinged it at some point while it was at PSA, and then you put an 8 on it when I gave it to you in gem mint condition.
Yeah.
So that makes me mad, because it's like, yo, you should disclose this and probably be reimbursing me some money. Yeah. But they just go, oh no, we're just going to grade the card.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I hope they get better, but we can rant about everything. But while we're nearing the end of our podcast, let's do a giveaway.
Yes, giveaway time. All right, guys, this is our 10th episode. Our 10th episode of the Card Lounge podcast. So we were like, let's just do a giveaway. We got some packs. What packs were we going to do?
Prismatic Evolutions?
Yeah, I mean, okay, we got some Prismatic Evolutions packs because we know it's been tough for a lot of you guys to be able to get a hold of Prismatic Evo. So we've got some packs that we're going to give away to people that like the video. Leave a comment down below somewhere in the YouTube. And we also have some posters. These are out of the Prismatic Evolutions poster collections. And so these are cool. If you never got to pick up a poster collection, me and Twice Baked Jake will sign these poster collections, and we're going to sign, 3 of them? Mm-hmm. We'll sign 3 of them, and 3 lucky winners will get a signed poster by us. Boom.
So, yep, we're going to be signing 3 Prismatic Evolutions poster collection, as well as giving away 3 Prismatic Evolutions booster pack with each of these. So you're getting a signed poster collection. The first signed Card Lounge podcast poster, if you want them, you can have them. If you want to burn them, that's completely cool. They're yours, so you get to do whatever you want with them. So thank you so much for getting us to episode 10. Yeah, it's there. Yeah. So if they want to, they can. It's their property. And so thank you so much for getting us to episode 10. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you guys.
So we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, see you next time on the Card Lounge.